From the bottom, hey, about to be up in your face, putting groupers in the chase, putting work to paper bays. On the up and I'm on the road, you can eat and you cutting cold. I've been driving no cruise control.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We're going to discuss AEW Dynamite from October 23rd, 2024. And it was a show that was not very good, but at least it closed on a decent note if you're a fan of Orange Cassidy, which of course I am not. So in terms of news and notes, there's really only one thing to discuss. Max Caster once again got in trouble with the AEW fandom for a tweet that he did towards Drew Gulak. So over the weekend, Drew Gulak was wrestling Masha Slamovich in an intergender match at Beyond Wrestling. And by over the weekend, I mean on or around October 22nd, which would have been, it's October 22nd. Well, it was posted, what I saw it October 22nd, which was Tuesday. So it had to have been the 20th or the 21st or something like that. But it's an indie wrestling show. Drew Gulak was cutting a promo with Masha Slamovich, and he asked her, did at any time he made her feel uncomfortable? She said no. She said that at any time did you feel threatened? You know, that kind of gimmick. And each time she said no. And then, he said, well, you should have. And then he kicked her in the stomach and attacked her. It was a decent setup. He was basically trying to get this female wrestler to say that he's not a predator. He's not dangerous. And then he flips it on her at the end saying, well, I am. So the AEW fans got real salty about Drew. They hate Drew Gulak. They're talking about how he's making light of sexual assault, even though if you know what he was accused of, it was not sexual assault. But whatever. In any event, he was fired from WWE. This wasn't really a good look for him, but I have to say it was an entertaining gimmick. Max Caster tweeted out, "Love this," with the applause emoji. And everybody lost their mind. Max Caster should be fired. He should be released from AEW. Tony Khan completely ignores this. Says nothing, does nothing. But Max Caster being problematic does not sit well with the kind of fans that AEW has cultivated over time. For me, I do think that Drew Gulak's his skit was in poor taste. I found it to be entertaining, but I have a different sense of humor than most people. And I didn't take what he was being accused of with the whole thing with Ronda Rousey. I didn't take that seriously. If I'd have took it seriously, I'd probably be a little bit more pissed off about it. But when you take into account that Masha Slamovich had to be in on it, she was 100% down with it, I don't see a problem. Sometimes in wrestling, you pull things from the story that you're going to tell. You pull things from real life. And this is one of the things, as far as I know, this might be the only time he's wrestled since then. Since he was fired from WWE. If you are unfamiliar with what happened, Ronda Rousey went on television and claimed that she was groped by Drew Gulak. He claims that he was trying to shake her hand, and in doing so, he grabbed this drawstring of her sweatpants or something like that. So that's pretty much what it was. She couldn't even remember what his name was. She, of course, did not tell anybody until she was on national television trying to sell a book. Either or, whatever the case may be, I wasn't there. In any event, Drew Gulak was training kids down at NXT at the time. He put out a statement as essentially admitting that he did grab her drawstring. It was completely by accident. Said he apologized, but he got fired in the next round of cuts anyway. And he's been pretty much in the wind ever since. So now he's popping back up, does this skit, gets all this heat. But the heat mostly falls on Max Caster because everybody's like, oh, Drew Gulak is the worst. The company that he was working with, which is Beyond Wrestling, F them, F Drew Gulak, F Max Caster. He's so problematic. He should just get fired. You know, he's one of the worst people of all time. You know how the internet is, man. Like, they don't know how to put things in proportion, you know? Max Caster can't possibly be one of the worst people of all time just because you think he's quote-unquote problematic. I haven't seen... The guy may have a dumbass sense of humor. Well, I have a dumbass sense of humor, and so do many others. That doesn't make him a bad person. He's not hurting anybody. You just don't like his taste. It's not that big a deal. All right. Ultimately, I don't know what AEW is going to have to do with Max Caster. He has been, you know, AEW is a company that is so wired to the hardcore fans, and those hardcore fans are so wired towards certain political opinions without going into what those opinions are, that merely drifting away from that even a little bit sends them into a tizzy. They want to flip out every single time. And Max Caster, with the raps and everything that he's been saying over the last couple of years, he has completely lost favor with these people. They hate Max Caster. And you know what? As long as it's him, as long as he's comfortable with who he is, with what he said, as he's comfortable with it, and the company is comfortable with it, I would not concern myself with it too much. But AEW, meaning Tony Khan, he's too linked in with that audience. And those people have a lot of sway over what he does on the show. And one of the underrated things when we talk about what has done a great deal of damage to AEW, pushing through problematic people, Chris Jericho, Max Caster, stuff like that, that is an underrated reason why AEW is in the shape that it's in terms of being cold in front of an audience. The audience partially cold because Tony Khan does not snap react as much as that audience would like him to. He did it with Jimmy Havoc. He snatched him off TV pretty quickly. But for most other people, CM Punk, he held on, you know. And when you do that, you piss people off because they want immediate gratification. This guy offended me. He upset me. You need to take him off TV right now. You need to punish him right now. You need to make a statement right now. And if you don't, then I won't watch your show. I'm going to sit on the internet and pout and do great deals of damage to your company. I want to spread negativity all over the internet if you don't do what I want you to do right now. And since AEW's fan base is so small and niche, a lot of these is a lattice of people who have this amount of control over AEW. Now, I'm not saying like we need to give in and fire Max Caster and Chris Jericho and all these people. I'm just saying this is a thing that when Conan was asked on Keeping It 100, why did he think AEW started having a downfall, and he mentioned the brawl out situation and showing the footage on TV and that kind of stuff. This is one of the things that people are missing out on. How many of the talents have said problematic things, upset the fan base, and made the fans not want to see them? And those fans are you're walking on a tightrope with those people. You could be their favorite wrestler today, the worst, most Hitler-filled wrestler the next day. That's how they are. It's more than being fickle. It's bipolar. And those people have done a great deal of damage to AEW. Even if it is because they have so much influence. So many of these people are so connected, especially if they're in the wrestling media. They can do a great deal of damage. to AEW. They can't do that much damage to WWE because they're trying really hard. And they can, they can cause some scuffs here and there, but they haven't done a great deal of damage to the company yet. And there's a lot of people on the internet that would love to bring WWE down, but they haven't been able to do it. That's why they're so frustrated by all these lawsuits and stuff. Not because they care about victims, but because they saying somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to go to jail. We need to just close up the company, shut it down. That's what all this stuff is about. It's not about anybody caring about any goddamn victims. You think these people care about Ronda Rousey? They hate Ronda Rousey too. This thing was just a way to attack Drew Gulak. That's it. And now Max Caster put himself on that same plane. They're after him too. They don't really care about what happened between Drew Gulak and Ronda Rousey. They don't really care. Ronda Rousey walked away from that thing, couldn't even remember the guy's name that supposedly mishandled her. And here it is, a year or two later, this guy's career is over. And he's working the indies again, lost a 6-figure job with NXT, and he's struggling. But it's all about Max Caster being one of the worst people in the world. Like, come on, bro, get over it. I mean, you got to chill on that, All right, so that's the only news and note that I had that really I cared about. Let's get into the show. So Moxley cuts a promo saying a piece of someone will be destroyed tonight, but it's for their own good, and everything that he does is for the greater good. So a bunch of jabronis are hanging out outside of the AEW building. They're in the parking lot. They got chains and bats. It's like the Warriors out there. Moxley, come out and play. And he ain't coming. So in the middle of the show thereabouts, Chuck Taylor, who has retired, praise God, he walks over to Orange Cassidy, pulls him to the side and says, hey man, most of these guys have never beaten Moxley, but you have. It's time for you to step up. And Orange Cassidy listening, Chuck Taylor is his friend. So, nice little setup, good foreshadowing. Main event occurs. The main event is Jack Perry and the Young Bucks versus Private Party and Daniel Garcia. I didn't want to watch this. I went to the bathroom. When I came back, the match was almost over. It was probably like I saw the finish. So I can tell you, I'm not interested in the Young Bucks 6-man tags. Private Party, I think it was Isaiah Cassidy, ended up pinning one of the Young Bucks. I believe it was Nick Jackson. Afterwards, he laid down the gauntlet, said that Private Party will break up if they lose. The Young Bucks accepted it. Mark Quinn was not happy because he was not consulted, even though clearly he heard Stokely last week when he made the suggestion. So that's fine. We already know that now Private Party is going to win. They're desperate. Okay, but we're here to talk mostly about the post-match. So Moxley and them are pulling up in the pickup truck, and all the bums and undercard guys are hanging out in the parking lot. They're all waiting for Moxley. And when the truck pulls up, it's just Marina Shafir, and she's by herself. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. Next you know, Moxley, Yuta, all of them, they jump in the ring, and they jump Private Party, and they jump Daniel Garcia. They beat him up a little bit. Chuck Taylor is an official. He runs down to the ring to break up the fight. So they grab Chuck Taylor and proceeds to beat the shit out of him. They were going to Pillmanize his leg. Then, for some odd reason, like a whisper in the wind told them, no, he had to retire due to a shoot leg injury. So they put the chair around his neck and Pillmanized his neck, stomped the chair. Orange Cassidy ran down there to help Chuck Taylor, but it was too late. Moxley and his dastardly band of murderous raiders are gone. And Orange Cassidy's left in the ring with a heap of Chuck Taylor. I gotta say, I like the story. I don't like the players, but at least I like the story. Orange Cassidy has pinned Jon Moxley before. It plays into the history of Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, which was a pay-per-view main event, I think, a year or two ago. And Orange Cassidy beat him. So it plays into that as Orange Cassidy being one of the heroes that's supposed to stand up to fight Moxley. And it works. Whether I like Orange Cassidy or not, or even care about Chuck Taylor or not, this is a well-done story. You introduced the conflict. You told people something was going to happen on this show. Something was going to be taken away from one of the heroes. You set up the conflict. There's going to be a big brawl in the parking lot. And then you subverted the big brawl by having Moxley find a different way in. But you still delivered on your original promise of taking away something by killing, metaphysically, of course, metaphorically, I should say, killing Orange Cassidy's mentor or one of his friends. So now Orange Cassidy has even more reason to go after Jon Moxley. And Moxley, in his mind, says this is for your own good. This guy's holding you back. Even though we saw earlier Chuck Taylor was one of the guys telling him this time to step up. But now he doesn't have a choice. Right? It went from being you probably should, put both feet into this situation, to now you don't have a choice. Now you can't leave, and now it's Moxley's terms. And I like that. This is really good. I got to give them credit. They did good here. Whoever wrote this out, you did a solid enough job. Whether it's Pepperman, Will Washington, whoever did it, thumbs up. You did a good job. You got MagMongoSlade to say that you got me interested in an Orange Cassidy story. This is all I've ever asked for you to do. Was if you were going to do something, make it interesting. They've done that. I appreciate it. Much, much appreciated. Didn't like Hangman Page, though. So Hangman Page comes out there. He's bragging about all the people he hurt. One of whom was Austin Gunn. I don't even remember this. So before he even gets to finish bragging, he's attacked by Colton Gunn. Is he the younger of the older of the Gunn boys? And in the event, they fight for a little bit. As Hangman Page starts to get the upper hand, here comes Jay White and Juice Robinson. They chase Hangman Page away. Jay White then cut a promo and says that Hangman can't hide from him. He's got his number, and that he'll never measure up to the Switchblade. I don't care about this, man. I don't care about this. I really don't. AEW is so weird. I like Jay White. I was a fan of Jay White when he was in New Japan. But they making me not care about him, and I'm supposed to care about Orange Cassidy. And that's backwards. That's very unfortunate, but they did what they did. So there was a vignette, Sammy Guevara, Shelton Benjamin. Sammy Guevara talked about being proud of being an original AEW guy, that because of this company, his life was changed. And now he's going to pay the company back by, hard work or whatever. Shelton Benjamin says that they are merchants of misery. Well, MVP said this. And it's all about money. And Shelton Benjamin is good at hurting people. And if you're good at something, never do it for free. This leads to match number 1. Shelton Benjamin defeating Sammy Guevara. This was not as good as the match last week with Lio Rush, because Lio is smaller than Sammy. He's also a better in terms of being a speedster than Sammy. Sammy botched his spot where he did a tope suicida through the ropes and got his legs all tied up. Look, people have tried to tell me that Sammy Guevara is good. Look, man, if all you care about is athletics, Sammy Guevara is probably great. But if you care about anything like psychology and selling and stuff like that, Sammy is not top tier. He's in a fine spot. This is where Matt Sydal was in WWE. This is fine for him. There's a reason why this guy is in this spot after being considered one of the pillars. They recreated the Shawn Michaels Shelton Benjamin spot by having Sammy Guevara springboard into a super kick. Unfortunately, the camera angle was behind Sammy, so it didn't look as crisp. But I did appreciate the wink and the nod to the Shawn Michaels Shelton Benjamin spot. So Shelton looks strong. He's going to go into his match with Swerve next week. Ought to be pretty good. Later in the show, they showed footage from Maple Leaf Pro, which featured Takeshita versus Josh Alexander. That's who it was. And once he won, he was beating him up. Josh Alexander's a heel in TNA. He's a babyface in Maple Leaf Pro. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Ricochet ran down to the ring, beat up Takeshita. Ricochet then talked about wanting to face Takeshita for the international title. And then he said the words, like, he's already not good at talking. But then when you pay attention to the content, when he said that he was going to be on Rampage, I instantly lost. I wasn't interested at all anymore. Like, oh, you're going to wrestle on Rampage. We're done here, okay? We're finished. You personally are done, sir. You were on Collision. Now you're on Rampage. You're a seat filler. You're not a draw. You know, but they don't care about you, bro. I hate to say this, Ricochet, because you probably got paid a lot of money. They don't care about you, Baldy. You know? I feel bad for you. But I ain't mad at you. MVP then gives them a business card and even says that they got history, but, you know, new company, new opportunities, start off fresh. Gave Ricochet a business card. This, of course, is a play on MVP trying to recruit Ricochet to the Hurt Business back in WWE. Since then, MVP did come out and say that he wanted both Cedric and Ricochet in the Hurt Business, but Vince only gave him one, and so they chose Cedric. So he's always wanted to work with Ricochet. Ricochet needs MVP. Like, he really does. He needs somebody to help him. Like I said, Ricochet needs to be like a Rob Van Dam kind of heel. And I think it would work and get him over as a babyface. Because Rob wasn't the strongest talker either. You know? But he could get over because, you know, for starters, the ECW crowd did not care about that. Secondly, he was such a phenomenal athlete that even if you didn't care about his promos, if you featured him in the appropriate way, he would get over. Ricochet is one of those guys that he's not going to talk you into the building. But if you put him in the ring with somebody who can talk you into the building, you might have some money. So they did that. That was fine. Mariah May then threw all of Anna Jay's stuff in the hallway, and then those two got to arguing. I am told at this point that Mariah May was pinned by Anna Jay. Where was this? I don't know nothing about this. Maybe it was on one of these shows I don't watch. Mariah May, what's happening? She used to be the star of the division. Now she's in this crap. There's a video package for Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Ospreay explains that the two of them became friends during the pandemic as he was trying to surround people to help him cope with how bad the times were. It's like, dude, get a dog. You don't collect human beings because you're lonely. So Kyle Fletcher comes out there, and my goodness, this promo was so long. Super long. Meandered. We're going to try to get to the point here. But the crowd telling him to wrap it up popped the hell out of me. Fantastic. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Utah, I love you. Mwah, you did a good job. Then he continued for like 4 or 5 minutes after they told him to wrap it up. He was still talking. So they said, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, they escalated. You're going to continue to talk. We're going to escalate now. Now we're going from here to here. We're going from 6 to 8. All right. Next, they're going to start throwing shoes. You know, they just did not want to hear him talk anymore. Kyle Fletcher had a little bit of the Cody Rhodes School of Acting. In his promo, he even let the list slip a little bit. I'm not wanting to talk with the list, I'm just saying. So let's get into it. The long and the short of it is that Kyle Fletcher is offended that people keep calling him the next Will Ospreay, and says that he's bigger, stronger, faster, better than Will Ospreay. He left New Japan to get out of Will Ospreay's shadow, and because he knows that Will Ospreay just stabs people in the back, like he stabbed Okada in the back, and he stabbed Kenny Omega in the back. And of course, Will Ospreay came to AEW after him because he's selfish. So he challenged Will Ospreay to a match next week, and says that he wants to be nothing like Will Ospreay. He doesn't want to look like him, doesn't want to sound like him. He doesn't want to do anything like Will Ospreay. So Don Callis gives him some clippers, and the guy starts to shave his own head, which was okay, interesting visual. Now he doesn't look like Future Trunks anymore. But I don't know why he shaved his head. Okay, go for it. This is obviously a play on a Magnificent Morocco angle. Clearly, Tony Khan was on the phone with Dave Meltzer, and Meltzer gave him this idea. I almost sincerely doubt that Tony Khan remembered this angle from the Magnificent Morocco. For those of you who are too young and maybe you don't know, it was a feud between Magnificent Morocco and I believe it was Jack Briscoe. And everybody thought they looked too much alike. So Morocco shaved all his hair, off, and he looked insane, right? So he looked insane. But that was, one of the times where guys who said, oh, you look alike, and he just shaved his own head. Clearly, it probably would have been more money if they'd have did the hair versus hair match and then Will Ospreay shaved his head. But it might also be more impactful for Kyle Fletcher to shave his own head to kind of show that he's crazy and he's out of his mind. And these are the lengths he's willing to go to get out of Will Ospreay's shadow. But he's still a skinny white dude. Therefore, he looks kind of like Will Ospreay. Except for his hair is not as curly. That's it. He's a little bit taller, a little bit more pale, a lot less charismatic, and now he's bald, or at least going to have a low fade. I doubt he's going to keep the missing link hairstyle that he gave himself. Whoever told you, Tony Khan, whoever told you that Kyle Fletcher should talk for like 10 or 15 minutes, you need to fire them. He ain't got the chops to cut promos that long. You could have did a video package and it would have been just as effective. But at the very least, I didn't hate the content. I just thought the promo was too long and he ain't got the chops to pull it off. You got to be pretty good to sit and talk for, 10, 15 minutes in front of a live crowd by yourself, by the way, with nobody to banter with. Oof. That was a bit much. And Don Callis looks like Dilbert with no hair. I don't know why, but he does. Moving on. Camille defeated Queen Aminata. The match did not take... It took too long. Look, I know Queen Aminata is somebody that they like, and they want to do something with her. But Camille is a powerhouse. You should be putting her over. It felt like Queen Aminata put her in like a chin lock or something like that, and they were holding it for a while. I like the nerve of these people. Anyway, Queen Aminata ended up in a torture rack into a suplex or something. And she kicked out at 2. I was like, the nerve of this. But the match it ended not too long afterwards. I don't even remember what the finish was. It don't matter. I didn't care about this. Chris Statlander came out afterwards to face off with Camille. Mercedes Moné got in between the two of them and was trash talking, probably trying to talk Camille into, backing down and all that. And then she attacked Chris Statlander from behind, and Chris Statlander no-sold her little punch or whatever that she did from behind. Then Statlander, I think, elbowed Mercedes or whatever, and she flew out of the ring, which was a great sell by Mercedes. She did a good job. After that, Camille and Chris Statlander started to fight, in which Camille ended up taking her down eventually. So they're building up Camille versus Chris Statlander. I would have liked for Camille to be stronger going into this match. I would have liked for Chris Statlander to be featured on this show and to be stronger, but they refuse to do that. I don't understand why Queen Aminata gets a match every week and Chris Statlander can't. I don't understand why Kyle Fletcher gets to talk for 10 minutes and Chris Statlander can't talk for 2. You know, I don't, or 90 seconds or something. I'm not understanding these things. Again, AEW's chief problem is who they decide to push. What are you deciding? Like, you're telling me that Camille and Chris Statlander is a marquee match that you're going to build up for weeks and weeks, but you're not going to put Chris Statlander on TV? Look, some of this stuff that you're doing, put these people elsewhere. Put this Queen Aminata on Collision. All right? You're not going to... That's where you should put all the people that you want to feature, but you don't got no storyline reason for them to be there. Put them on Collision. That's what you do. You want to put Brian Cage in a match with Brian Cage and Lance Archer against 2 jabronis? Put it on Collision. I'm not going to watch Collision, so I'm not going to miss. And then, you know, it's a jobber match, so what's going to be lost? Nothing. Nobody cares about that crap. Okay? So, put it on Collision. Put it on Collision! Okay. Next. In the middle of this really boring show, even though I was somewhat intrigued by the opening, and the Chuck Taylor Orange Cassidy thing piqued my interest, and I was kind of okay with the Ricochet MVP stuff, and, you know, Shelton Benjamin and Sammy Guevara was fine. They decided to have a ladder match, not as the main event or the opener, which it probably would have fit as the opener. They decided to have it as the main event of 8:45. It's the main event of 8:50. All right. Chris Jericho defeats Mark Briscoe to win the Ring of Honor World title in a completely unnecessary ladder match. Jericho, Mark Briscoe, they got the crowd into it eventually. Mark Briscoe was busted open. That black dude that hangs out with Jericho, what's his name? Keith something. He got chased off by Rocky Romero. Then Mark Briscoe does this really huge elbow drop from the very, very top of the cage through a table. Not the cage, I'm sorry, the ladder. Through a table on Jericho. Huge spot. As Mark Briscoe's trying to win, Big Bill grabs him, chokeslams him through 2 tables outside the ring. And then Big Bill scoops up Jericho, puts Jericho up on his shoulders, walks Jericho up the ladder, and Jericho just takes down the belt to be the Ring of Honor World Champion. He gets 0 time to celebrate, however, as his first challenger immediately appears, and it's the human sweet potato, Tomohiro Ishii. Mr. Potato Head Ishii. The stuffed animal with a heartbeat, Ishii. What? Why? No pop, by the way. So all these New Japan marks, oh, he's so good, he's so great. No pop. No interest whatsoever for that Olmec statue. And he's sitting there, like, I started hearing barks and shit. I'm like, what's all this barking? And, you know, then his theme music started playing. I'm like, oh, hell no. What's all this? Well, nah. What did they do to the man? What did they do to your man? Very bad, man. Very bad. Next. Christian Cage showed up in the middle of the brouhaha outside the ring. He's waving his championship contract at everybody, telling them not to touch it. He sees I'm about to call him Chris Sabian. Kip Sabian, who is sneaking around in the shadows in between cars, staring at Christian. It's very creepy. He comes across like a child molester. Like, this got to stop. Anyway, Christian and his team chase Kip Sabian to the ring where they got him cornered. And then here comes Hook. Hook says that the person who attacked Taz is in the ring. Hook gets in the ring. He immediately starts fighting with Nick Wayne. He suplexes and throws Nick Wayne. Then he grabs Christian like he's going to attack Christian. And then Kip Sabian attacks Hook from behind, hit him in the ball sack. Christian then goes up to Nick Kip, well, I call him Kip, whatever his name is, who cares? He got silver hair. And says he knows why he's been doing this. He's going to deal with them later. Tell him to go stand in the corner while I handle my business. So Nick Wayne tries to beat up Hook again. He fails. And then he got a little bit of help and he ended up beating up Hook. Then Christian dropped Hook's head on his case with the kill switch. And then the commentary team just told us that Christian was the guy who attacked Taz, which was pretty obvious if you watched the show last week. So Christian attacked Taz, which now means Christian has to work with Hook. Good for Hook, not so good for Christian, who is, supposed to be in a position to be a world champion. Now he's got to work with Hook. The funniest thing about this, probably the funniest thing in this episode, is that Christian called Hook Tyler. If you listen, and he was talking to him, said something about it's not what it seems. After he called it Tyler, it's not what it seems. And I just looked at Hook and I'm like, my God, nobody has ever looked more like a Tyler. Like, this is 100% like Dawson's Creek, the OC. That's what you name the kid from the suburbs. You name him Tyler. Like, Hook is trying to act like a Tyrone, but he's a Tyler. Right? You're a Tyler. You're not Tyrone. Perfect. Next, brittle Adam Cole comes out. Oh my goodness. He doesn't get 2 words out of his mouth before Roderick Strong comes out there. Going to truncate this because we didn't need this in front of a live audience. Roderick Strong says MJF is a manipulator and a user, and he used the Adam Cole brand to get what he never could get on his own, which is for the fans to care about him. The Undisputed Kingdom all say that we started this together, we end this together, because it's always about us. It's not about MJF. And then Roderick Strong says he is proud of Adam Cole for coming back from his injury, but he's also proud that they're going to be able to take on MJF together. But he wants MJF first. Adam Cole just was like, okay. Last week he said, I need to do this on my own. This week he's like, okay. We can, all 4 of us, beat MJF's ass. So we get another MJF video because somehow he knew Adam Cole was going to be in the ring again. He knew exactly what Adam Cole was going to say again. He's getting a massage from some nice young lady. And he creates a special challenge. So he says no, he's never going to have a match with Adam Cole, but then says he's willing to dangle the carrot. Roderick Strong wants to fight him. Adam Cole wants to fight him. The first 1 to 3 consecutive victories will get a match against him at Full Gear. And for his own safety, he will not appear in person on AEW until Full Gear. So it's Strong versus Cole, first to 3 wins. And I say, look, there's people who are getting title matches on this show, world championship matches, who have not won 3 matches in a row. There's people coming out of the woodwork getting title matches. I was just told 5 or 6 minutes before this, maybe an hour before this, that Anna Jay has a championship match. Where the hell has she been the whole summer? I'm just flabbergasted, dumbfounded, led astray that getting a singles match with MJF is rarer and more difficult than getting a world championship match. And who gave him the authority to do this? I mean, because people are getting too cute with wrestling these days, he even kind of joked that this is old school MJF, making people jump through hoops to get a match with me. Who gave him the authority to do this? Why would Tony Khan give him the authority to book his own matches and put other people through stress and go. Simple. Instead of it being a girl, he could have just got on the phone and says he's talking to the Young Bucks. And the Young Bucks say, you know what? You don't have to fight these guys if you don't want to. But if you want to, you can give them a little hoop. And then you can at least say, all right, the Young Bucks gave him that authority. We, of course, have to question why Tony Khan doesn't unravel whatever the Young Bucks can do. But at the very least, you get his authority from somewhere. But now he's got like the God Almighty authority that, one, he's not going to show up to work until he feels like it. And two, he can book other people. Oh, you got to win 3 matches in a row to fight me. Like he's fucking Bison in Street Fighter or something. Like he's Shao Kahn or some shit. What is up with this? Why would you do this? Anyway, House of Black defeated some Jobberinos. Aleister Black kicked some guy in the head. He twirled outside the ring like a ballerina. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, Buddy Matthews got the pin and then immediately called out Adam Cole. Adam Cole got into his face at the parking lot. It was like, hey, you got a problem with me or something? You know, his arms all folded. He's very small. You know, not very intimidating at all. He's going to have to stand on some stilts and wear a fat suit in order for people to take him seriously as a human being male. And then Buddy Matthews wasn't going to really respond to him. And then say he challenged him for one reason, to prove a point. He's like, what's your point? He said, you're fragile. And he walked away, and Adam Cole had that look on his face like, oh boy. Oh brother. Okay. Buddy Matthews versus Adam Cole. Okay, I like that. If Adam Cole can go 100%, this ought to be great. I would like for them to have a reason why this match is happening, but it's fine with him just saying he's going to prove that he's fragile. All right. Or he should say like, see, you could say something similar to this, but you can make it more colorful, you know? And this is what people like. People like color. And this came right off the top of my head. If, you know, Adam Cole would have said, what's your problem, man? Like, what's your issue with me? And he could say, there's nothing personal. I just like breaking fragile things. You know, talk about how he likes to pull the petals off flowers. You know, that kind of shit. That would be like, yo, this dude's sick. What the hell is wrong with this dude? And it would make people interested in him. They'd be like, ooh. But now he's just like, you're fragile. I'm like, well, okay, that's good enough. Because we all know that he's fragile. We can't debate that. You know, like that's not debatable. So, they are throwing Adam Cole into the deep end in his first match. I will give him credit because Buddy Murphy is he's fast and he's kind of heavy handed. He's a pretty bulky guy too. I'm not sure if I would pick a Buddy Murphy for the first opponent for Adam Cole, but okay, it's working out fine. Maybe I would have given Roderick Strong Buddy Murphy. I probably would have given Adam Cole somebody a little lighter, like an Action Andretti or something like that. Somebody who probably wouldn't be able to do that much damage. But at the same time, Tony Khan's probably thinking of, it's a great match, it's a better match or whatever. And that works too, because it's certainly a better match. I completely forgot Penelope Ford existed. They had her talk on this show. And then they had Jamie Hayter talk. And she's not a bad promo. I don't know why she's dressing like Austin Powers or like one of the Beatles. Or, you know, some British invasion thing. I don't know what she's got going on. At least she's got seemingly a personality. And then all of a sudden she starts talking in this promo. And in Penelope Ford's promo, it's assumed that Jamie Hayter is the chosen one and that Jamie Hayter didn't have to work for anything and she was taking, you know, the escalator to the top and all this sort of stuff. So Jamie Hayter has to tell everybody about her time being poor because this is all that indie wrestlers do. They talk about being poor all the time. Man, indie wrestlers got to be the poorest motherfuckers on the planet. You know, they talk about, you never wrestled for 20 quid in front of a bunch of smelly guys. I'm like, whoa. Why did you do that? You know, like, I get it. It's tough out here, but why did you do that? You didn't sleep in your car. Why did you sleep in your car? Get a fucking job. Why didn't you go get a job? Go be a librarian or something. You don't gotta go sleep in your car. That was your choice. Go wait tables or something. So she's gonna prove to Penelope Ford that she worked for everything, and who cares? So that's pretty much Dynamite. That's the long and the short of it. I liked some elements of Dynamite more this week than I have usually. Considering I like the overall story from Orange Cassidy, and that stuff was good. The Hurt Business stuff was solid too. Can't hate on that. I love Shelton Benjamin. Not too big on Samuel Guevara, but it is what it is. He was just there to take bumps, and he did that. He took a lot of pretty good bumps. The rest of the matches didn't really care about. Didn't care at all about that ladder match. I don't think I've ever cared less about a ladder match. And I really didn't give a damn about that one. The main event was not even worth watching. It involved Jack Perry, so it certainly it wasn't worth my time. I don't know about you. The MJF stuff, I don't think MJF versus Adam Cole it matters enough to go through all they have to go through. I see you want to test Adam Cole to see that he can still go before you book him in a pay-per-view match. So maybe that's the point here, is we're going to test Adam Cole's ankle. And I heard that he actually got an ankle, like they got bones from like a corpse or something to put into his ankle or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, you got like a dead man's bone? Like I know I've heard of like livers and kidneys and all that, but now they harvesting bones too? Holy guacamole. That's something. Sheesh. But if I had an injury that was that serious, I probably wouldn't even bother coming back from it. I mean, it's not like he needed. I'm pretty sure Adam Cole is financially set in terms of money. I know he's still pretty young, but he's got to be financially well off. And if he and I would say this out loud, and I hope it doesn't happen, knock on wood. If he gets injured again, I probably wouldn't even bring him back if I was Tony Khan. You know, especially if it's a leg injury and he's out for another 2 damn years. Bro, it's over. I'll just call it a goddamn day. Right? And that's part of the reason why I would say maybe I would not put him in there with like a Buddy Matthews. Because Buddy Matthews likes doing like top rope suplexes and, you know, jumping knee strikes and a bunch of other hard-hitting shit. I'm not sure if he's the right guy you want to throw in there with Adam Cole. And, you know, I like Buddy Murphy. I think that he's a guy that you could probably push in your company. He's big, he's muscular, he's mysterious, he's different from everybody else. But they're going to push small Adam Cole, very tiny, minute Adam Cole. They insist on it, actually, which is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Also unfortunate, I wasn't going to go this entire episode without mentioning it, because it's all over the internet, even though I don't care. Everything I know about these people, I know against my will. We found out that Adam Cole has really broken up with Britt Baker, which would explain how Britt Baker lost her aura. You know, she came back looking kind of miserable. Yeah, she didn't look happy. So something tells me that it was probably a him decision rather than a her decision. And some people, there's some wrestling media types online who was talking about this months ago, that they had broken up. And the reason why they said they are broken up, I really didn't want to get into it. But now that we found out that it's true that they have broken up, might be... Now, the reason they claim that they broke up is that Britt stepped out. Yeah, she got caught cheating or something like that. But who... I don't know. I don't know. You know, he cheated first. Let's put it like that. He's in love with these video games, man. You know, he's sitting there playing Lara Croft or some shit. And she's, you know, picking plaque off people's teeth all that damn day. And, you know, hearts grow apart after that. Like, if this guy's over here dilly-dallying, you're locked in over here with your doctorate, and you're scraping people's teeth and shit, root canaling folks and all this kind of stuff. Y'all exist in two different worlds, man. You know, and what can you say? I'm bullshit. Anyway, I hope it wasn't that, somebody cheated on somebody, but they both went through really crazy injuries at around the same time. She had a stroke or something, like a seizure or something like that, and he was real down bad. So hopefully they can pull through. He sounded kind of upbeat about it, but it certainly sounded like it was a him decision, not a her decision, because she's been back for a while and hadn't mentioned it. So before he even came back, he wanted to let it be known, the Panama City Playboy is back. He maybe only have one leg, and maybe that's a chicken leg. He got two chicken legs. But he's back, baby. I just wish he wasn't built like a stick figure. Like, my God. Vince McMahon would have pumped this guy. I wish Vince McMahon sold steroids. I really did. He would probably sell Adam Cole all the steroids. All of them. Every anabolic, testosterone replacement, everything. He'd probably stem cell him a whole new body. He'd collect the Dragon Balls and wish for this motherfucker to have a whole new body. He would not be able to tolerate how Adam Cole looks on television. It's unreal. He is very small and he has a big head. This is not going to work. He's tiny. He's getting smaller. All right. So this was a not very good episode of Dynamite. I don't understand. Are you blaming Jimmy Jacobs for this one too? Because this one sucked too. A lot of them have been very bad. This was not good. I give them praise for what they've been doing with Sammy Guevara and Shelton Benjamin. Give them praise for Orange Cassidy. But a lot of this stuff is virtually unwatchable. The main event was unwatchable. Unwatchable, just can't tolerate it. All right. The jobber matches, look, it would have been fine if the rest of the card was solid. But no, there's no reason for Brian Cage and Lance Archer to be on my television. Almost never, ever, actually, for them to be on my television. What's the other guy? The trios match, Buddy Murphy and all them. Like, I don't understand why they was there. The really long Kyle Fletcher talking segment, garbage. The crowd is out of it. They're dead to the world. They woke up for the ladder match. That's because people are crashing through tables and hitting each other with weapons and people are bleeding. That should have been your main event. But then you end that match with, the human yam, Tomohiro Ishii, who got no pop. So there was no interest in anything that is occurring on this show. They're just not interested. The crowd is out of it. The people are dead. How are you going to get the people back? Your only hope now is Orange Cassidy. Because maybe there are people out there who still care about him. Maybe you can get the people who did think he was entertaining back into the fold after, a year or two of basically kicking them to the sideline. It's hard to heat people back up, man. It's better for you to strike while the iron's hot and try to do something while the iron's hot, rather than I'm just going to get it all warmed up and then put it on the back burner. It don't always work like that. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. But Dynamite is perpetually a bad show. It's just been a bad show all the time. And it was psychotic to me that they would blame Jimmy Jacobs for all of this shit. Because it clearly isn't. It's clearly a Tony Khan thing. Maybe he needs some sleep. Maybe he needs more white powder. One or the other. He needs an upper or a downer. Somebody needs to do something. Because this show is bad. And it's getting worse. Next week ought to be pretty good because they're building it up nicely. But there's a lot of sleeper shit on here. Stuff that you can skip through. Stuff that you can not pay attention to. But I will say they are improving their storytelling. That at least is occurring. Now, He's got to pick the right talent to feature on TV. And Lance Archer ain't it. Brian Cage, no, that ain't it. You know, got to make better decisions. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
No one doesn't bury